Contract 2013 with Stuart Barden.
Yep.
Australian farmer and Kenyan farmer.
Yes.
Yeah. So how long have you been farming in Kenya?
Well, we've actually been operating in Kenya for about 18 months. We've been living there full time for 12 months.
So why, there's a lot of places in the world to farm.
Yeah.
Why Kenya?
Well, we chose Kenya because in 2009 I travelled doing a Nuffield scholarship, and I saw the incredible potential that was in Kenya particularly on the black soil that's just not being utilised. And there's 43 million people in an area that's smaller than Alberta, and food's an issue to them. It's a serious issue to them, and it's going to be a big issue in the future. And I guess being in Australia, I felt like we were just growing commodity. It was just all about money, and so we took a fork in the road, I guess. Yeah.
That's a big fork in the road.
Yeah, it is.
What kind of crops are you growing in Kenya?
In Kenya, we're growing principally sorghum as our commercial crop at the moment, although chickpeas and trialling corn, maize, corn, white corn this is, but we're in a lower rainfall area, and so we're trying to basically find crops that are going to be more stable, have more yield stability, so that we can get away from this feast-famine thing. And also the black soil has, as many people would know, got some great attributes. One being the ability to store water, and you starting with a moisture trigger, as in not planting a crop until you have a certain amount of moisture, should actually iron out some of those. Not worried about ironing out the feast, but we certainly want to iron out the famines.
How about from a marketing perspective? Where and how are you marketing those crops in Kenya?
It's certainly not what you call an organised market like Canada or Australia, where you've got marketers falling over themselves to deal with you. There, it's direct end user. It's relationship. It's just knowing people really, and that's as simple as it is.
Most of it's domestic.
Yes. Yeah. Other than Kenya is a very large cut flour, fresh flour producer, and there's I don't know how many jumbos a day head out of Kenya into Europe with roses particularly. So other than that, all the grain crops that are grown in Kenya, to my knowledge, are all domestically consumed.
Now, you're very bullish Kenya, the opportunities in Kenya. So bullish that you're thinking about actually leaving your farm in Australia.
Well, there's certainly not much joy in Australia. I'd recommend to any young Australian, if you want to get ahead, move to Western Canada, because I know the land prices here are strong, but the support, both research and just the general community support for agriculture here is enormous. But in answering your question, yes, we are. We're basically moving out of our Australian farms. We've still got a farm actively being grown there, and but we're moving to sell that, and basically consolidate. There's enough to think about in Kenya without considering, without having to think about what's happening in Australia at the same time.
What's the misconception about, when you talk to a group today, 1,700 people, what are some of the misconceptions they have of agriculture in a place like Kenya?
I think one thing that people don't understand is in a place like Kenya with large numbers of people, the land areas being very small. Like actually, there isn't vast areas that are untapped. In saying that, there is vast areas that are untapped, but they're broken into, it's very fragmented. That's one of the issues Kenya is dealing with, and that is where, a father will give down to his son, they had 20 acres and now they've got, 4 sons, so now they've all got 5 acres or whatever they do. But that's a very common problem, and I think that's a bit of a misconception, is that Africa is just this land of big open spaces, and maybe, but I guess it's a bit hard for me to tell, but I think that's quite often the case. People think that.
Do you see the infiltration of new crops to Kenya, or is there only so many different crop types you can grow there?
Kenya's an incredibly diverse place because of the elevation. The elevation means that there's the temperature ranges are just vast within very short distances. So it's an amazing place. You can be growing, sugarcane, and then you can be growing, coffee, and you can be growing tea, all within a very short distance of one another. So as far as the crop types, it's an incredible place. It's a Garden of Eden, really. But with that comes also the fact that the season, because there's not a break in that season and there's a continuation of cropping, the disease pressure and the chance for, say, a pathogen to develop in one crop and then move on to another one, if you like, a green bridge, something you obviously don't have here. The white bridge sorts that out. But that certainly is an issue for the Kenyans, and that is that basically that diseases have a continual host. But there's opportunity for new things, but there's already so much. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Stuart, and welcome to Farm Tech.
No worries. Thank you very much.